Morris turned to Lisa, who was already near the elevator. "You set me up." She looked back only once. "No, Morris. You set yourself up. I just waited until the curtain fell." He had never seen her like this. There was no fury in her tone, just quiet resolve. He had planned every move assuming she was passive. And that assumption had cost him everything. Outside, Barbara's face lit up when she saw Morris exit. She rolled down the window eagerly. Finally, was it smooth? But one look at his face made her grin fade. "What happened?" she asked. Morris didn't answer immediately. He opened the car door, sat down heavily, and stared ahead. "She owns it all," he said flatly. Barbara laughed nervously. What are you talking about?" He turned to her slowly, his face pale. "The company, the shares, the brand. She didn't just sign the divorce. She triggered a clause that stripped me of everything." Barbara blinked, disoriented. "That's not possible." He reached into his coat, pulled out the contract, and tossed it onto her lap. She read the highlighted text, her expression shifting from confusion to horror. "You mean she gets the entire company?" Morris nodded slowly, and I walked her right to the throne. For the first time since their affair began, Barbara had no witty retort. The silence between them was no longer sexual tension. It was the sound of two people realizing they had just lost a war they never saw coming. The car ride back to Morris's apartment was suffocating. Barbara sat stiffly in the passenger seat, the contract still open in her lap. The highlighted clause mocked her with every passing second. "I don't get it," she finally snapped. "How could you let this happen? Didn't your lawyers catch this before you filed for divorce?" Morris gripped the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles pale. "It's my original prenup," he muttered, "from before we even got married. I made her sign it to protect my assets. It was my idea." Barbara turned sharply toward him. "So you wrote the very clause that just took everything from you?" Her voice was edged with disbelief and disgust. "You're supposed to be a businessman, not a fool." Morris didn't answer. The streets outside blurred as his mind raced with everything he'd overlooked. In his arrogance, he had underestimated Lisa, and now it was costing him everything. Back at the apartment, Barbara paced the living room like a caged cat, heels clicking against the tiled floor. "We need to go to court, appeal, threaten exposure, something." Morris dropped onto the couch, rubbing his face. "You don't understand," he said. "It's airtight. She's not suing me. She's enforcing what I signed. The board will back her." Barbara narrowed her eyes. "So that's it? You're just going to let her take everything?" Morris looked up, his voice low and bitter. "I already did." Barbara stared at him in disgust, her voice rising. "All that talk about building something together, now we're left with what? Empty promises and your name trending for the wrong reasons?" He stood abruptly. "Don't you dare act like you didn't enjoy this ride. You loved every minute of flaunting her downfall until the floor gave way." Barbara's silence was louder than her fury. She realized, perhaps for the first time, that Lisa hadn't just signed papers, she had orchestrated a fall so